Before the Mexican War for Independence ended, the United States economy collapsed. During the Napoleonic Wars, the demand for cotton and American foodstuffs skyrocketed. Many took advantage of the boom and started buying land and flipping it to farmers to meet that demand. When Europe had recovered from the wars, American goods were no longer in great need. This lowered prices and led to defaults on the loans. When English banks began to falter, it triggered a bank run that foreshadowed the Great Depression of the 20th century. This led to the Panic of 1819. The collapse of the economy meant that many could not buy land in the American South. This would allow Moses Austin, along with his son Stephen, to attempt to settle Americans in Spanish Texas. Austin was a leader in lead mining. Its prominence within the industry contributed to a period of its history to being known as the Moses Austin period. In 1798, he received a league or 4,128 acres of land in Spanish-owned Missouri. He would acquire a personal fortune of $190,000, which would be equal to $5 million in 2025. He became a Spanish subject and proposed bringing settlers with him. Because of the Napoleonic Wars, France received the Louisiana Territory, including Missouri, in 1800, but just 3 years later, Napoleon sold it to the Americans, breaking his promise that he would never do so. Austin would eventually become the founder and principal stockholder of the Bank of St. Louis. It failed during the Panic of 1819, wiping out his entire fortune. In December of 1820, he traveled to San Antonio to propose bringing Americans into Texas. He asked for an audience with the Spanish governor, Antonio Martinez. Unfortunately, Martinez was not interested in meeting another American after an American filibuster attempted to liberate Texas from Spain. It felt like his plans were doomed right from the start. However, a stroke of good luck turned the situation around. He ran into an old acquaintance, Baron de Bastrop, whose real name was Philip Bogle. He was a Dutchman living in San Antonio and a friend of the governor. He vouched for Austin, so the governor agreed to meet with him and listen to his proposal. Austin argued that he had a solution that would solve two problems. Spanish Texas had a lot of land but no people, while Austin knew many landless people. Settling Americans there could be the answer. Martinez listened to the proposal and agreed. They took it to the town council, which consented for 3 reasons. First, it would bring people into the area, which desperately needed them. Second, settlers would bring more economic development for the region. Finally, no other previous attempt succeeded. The Spanish could not bring their own people. There was even an attempt to bring 10,000 Swiss to settle, and they refused. Although Martinez and the council agreed to the proposal, they could not do so unilaterally. It still needed the approval of Joaquin Arredondo, who oversaw the region. He received the proposal and approved it. Austin had permission to settle 300 families in his future colony. For Austin, it was mission accomplished, and he now needed settlers while returning to the United States. He met James Kirkham, who was in Texas to recover runaway slaves. Kirkham met with the governor, who informed him that the slaves were in Monterey, where they told Spanish authorities about their owner, and what they heard was not pleasant. Martinez refused to return the slaves, and Kirkham sought revenge. He was determined to steal some horses in Texas and sell them in the United States. He told Austin about his plan, which upset him because he feared that it would undo everything that he had accomplished. The 2 men argued, and when Austin woke up the next morning, Kirkham and his supplies were gone. He and his slave, Richmond, eventually arrived in Louisiana, but they encountered bad weather, were attacked by a cougar, and were close to death. Austin recovered more quickly than Richmond, and he returned to Missouri. However, he had not fully recuperated, contracted pneumonia, and died in June 1821. It was now up to Austin's son, Stephen Fuller, to take up his father's cause. He was crossing the Sabine River when he learned of his father's death, but he pressed on into Texas. Upon entering, over a dozen Tejanos escorted him to San Antonio. Among them was Erasmo Seguin. They joined him to show that settling Americans in Texas was not just an Anglo adventure, it had Tejano support as well. They arrived in August 1821, about the same time as Mexico won its independence. Austin was concerned since his family's agreement was with the Spanish government, not the Mexican. He would have to negotiate a new deal. There was no guarantee of success, and it may take years to do so. The Tejanos urged Austin to get approval, and Martinez advised him to find a place to settle his 300 families. He chose an area not too close to the United States border along the Brazos and Colorado rivers. The region was well watered and connected to the Gulf. The settlers could grow cotton and use the rivers to transport it to market. All Austin needed now was permission from the Mexican government.